What if slowing down isn't failure or falling behind, but is really the gateway to your next big breakthrough? Tonight, we'll explore how the sacred pause can become your greatest ally, leading you back to trust, balance, and the radical rest your soul has been craving. Welcome to Maiden Mother Crone Tarot, where we hold sacred space for divine divergence, also known as ADHD. My name is Kayla, and I'm so thankful you're here today. Today's day 21 of the 0303 challenge, where I show up for 30 days, bringing messages of joy, support, and love for women with ADHD. Today's tarot topic is radical rest. Tarot for trusting sacred pause. But before we get into that, I'd like to begin with a short breathing exercise. We're going to do box breathing tonight. So we'll breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, and hold for 4. We'll do 3 rounds of this breathing to help us settle into tonight, settle into the energy, shake off today, shake off the heaviness, and settle into softness. Are you ready? Let's begin. How do you feel now? Do you feel lighter? Do you still feel stiffness in your neck? Is there tightness in your chest? If it is, I invite you to continue to soften through tonight's reading. Soften and remember, the sacred pause is here to support us. Before we begin the tarot, I'm going to pull one oracle card. This is the Spirit Junkie Oracle deck. It's one of my favorites. It brings some really challenging thought patterns, beliefs. It has a great perspective. So when I started my spiritual awakening, I got this deck and it helped me expand my consciousness. So. ADHD. Okay, that's our card. When I move my body, I feel empowered, cleansed, and strong. It reminds me of a lot of the goals and visions I have for this community. I do not feel confident as a movement leader, right? But I know how therapeutic and how healing movement has been for me, and in particular yoga. So as this community grows, I want us to be able to have experts in those fields. In those fields, so whether it's creative dance, primal movement, yin yoga, I want to be able to invite those people onto this channel to help us practice the sacred pause, right? To slow down and get in touch with our bodies so that we can feel empowered, cleansed, and strong. In my tarot practice, I dedicate tarot decks to the spiritual archetypes that I work with. This deck is dedicated to the Maiden. Maiden, can you please give us guidance tonight on radical rest, trusting the sacred pause for this ADHD collective, please? Maiden. Tarot guidance, please. We have the Knight of Pentacles, the bottom of the deck. Let's see here. She gave us the Five of Swords, Four of Swords, and the Eight of Pentacles. This Eight of Pentacles has been coming out quite a lot lately. Okay. The next spiritual archetype we're going to work with is the Mother. Mother, can you please give us guidance tonight on radical rest, trusting the sacred pause? How can this ADHD collective slow down, get out of our own ways, trust our body, move with our body's rhythm? All right, and we have, oh, I thought that was the same card, the Knight of Wands on the bottom of this deck. We had the Knight of Pentacles from the Maiden just a moment ago. She gave us the Two of Swords, the Eight of Pentacles. We just got this from the Maiden. This card has been coming out, I'm telling you, in so many readings. And the Ten of Cups. Wow, it's a beautiful card. I don't know if this does it justice. Okay. The last archetype we're going to work with tonight is the Crone. Crone, can you please give us guidance tonight for this ADHD collective on radical rest, trusting the sacred pause? How can we slow down, get into our bodies, get into our feelings, get into our energies, trust the pause, trust the distraction, trust the redirection, and learn how to use this as a tool for our growth? I'm laughing because the card that popped out and it landed face up was the Knight of Wands, which we just had on the bottom of the deck from the Mother. And we have the Knight of Pentacles again, all right, on the bottom of the deck. So that's two Knight of Pentacles. We had it from the Maiden on the bottom of the deck. And now the Crone. And then we had two Knight of Wands. One on the bottom of the deck from the Mother. And then the one here, Knight of Wands, from the Crone. Then we got the Eight of Swords. And the Justice card. How stunning is that card, you guys? Piercing. Soul piercing every time I see it. Radical rest. Trusting the sacred pause. Now on this Oracle card, it says cleansed and strong, right, through movement. And before I began this reading, I remember thinking to myself that I really need to go through and cleanse my crystals, recharge them, cleanse my decks, just do a little bit of energy work. So I find it interesting that cleanse comes out as a concept here, and I was already thinking about that. For this first row from the Maiden, we have the Five of Swords, and right away I've gotten the idea that this person is not you in the Five of Swords. It's either one of these two, which leads to this sadness, defeat. But the idea I got right away was that society has set us up to believe that if we need to slow down, and not even if we don't need to, like maybe you don't even need to, maybe you're not burnt out, but if someone chooses to take a break, if someone chooses to slow down, trust their body, cleanse their energy, then that's like a strike against them in society, right? It can stall your growth in companies. It can prevent you from having the same opportunities as other people. You can be labeled as lazy. You could be labeled as unmotivated, that you have no drive. But we got the Four of Swords from the Maiden. That is rest, right? This is resting. So the pause isn't just about resting your body. The pause is about resting your mind, resting your energy. You know, sometimes, not sometimes, energy doesn't work in a linear path, right? That's not how energy is. Especially as women with ADHD, we go through spirals, cycles, energy cycles. We have our hyper focuses, we have our high productivity days, right? Where we can achieve more in 2 hours than normal people achieve in an entire day of work. But then we also have the opposite side of that, the days where we can't focus, where we're hitting. And that's just the natural flow of things. It's not summer all year round. It's not winter all year round. It's not always hard work. It's not always rest. There are natural cycles in the world, in the universe, that we're meant to follow. And for some reason, humans have decided to ignore them. We've decided that we're going to create our own way of moving through the world, ignoring these natural cycles, ignoring the seasons, ignoring the change in how much daylight is in the sky, right? Daylight savings time, making our own stuff up. Instead of honoring the natural cycle that we are all subject to, instead of honoring when we need to rest, instead of honoring when we need to slow down. Because we're being invited to see those opportunities for rest as opportunities to invest in other aspects of our lives. When we slow down, when we step back, we could step into more of like a yin yoga practice, really getting in touch with the body, listening, stretching gently, being gentle with ourselves. And maybe that's a good time to work through any emotional I don't want to say trauma, but it's like the stored energy from emotions that we have in our body. Doing some type of yoga practice, or just going to the gym, nature walks, any way we can get into this movement, right? The sacred pause doesn't have to be sitting still. The sacred pause is pausing what we're not meant to do at the time. And maybe that is you're coming up at a block with work and you can't get past it and you're struggling and struggling and struggling and you get into that cycle of self-blame and criticism and why can't you figure this out? Why can't you work on this? What is wrong with you? You're falling behind. That sacred pause can be your ally. Step outside, get some fresh air, a quick nature walk. And it's proven scientifically that you will be much more productive when you get back to your task. Taking a step away, right? And because we've been set up from the beginning of our lives, programmed from the beginning of our lives to live a certain way, to be robots and produce constantly, instead of honoring our natural designs, our natural energy cycles. I haven't mentioned it in a while, but if you don't know your human design, I would highly suggest you check it out. I do have a free calculator linked below. It's not mine, I'm not affiliated, but it's just what I use to find my human design. And when I found out my design, it was one of the most healing moments of my life. If you're familiar with ADHD, we get so inspired to learn so many things. We get so motivated to start something new, right? But instead of following this Eight of Pentacles, instead of being diligent and finishing one thing and mastering one thing, we put things to the side and start something else. And I carried so much shame in my life over the fact that I couldn't finish things. I'm a great starter, but I'm not a great finisher. And that was mostly with things that I cared about, right? If it had something to do with my job, I always prioritized that. But there was some programming I had to go through where I had to realize, I'm going to show up for me and complete the things that are important to me. But even now, there's things that I haven't completed. There's projects that are almost done. With my book, I worked on getting it translated. I got it edited to make sure, proofread to make sure that the translation was good. And I still haven't uploaded it. I still haven't finished formatting it. It's not available, right? I did that months ago. But right now, I've learned that my energy can only go so far. And it's not a failure on my part if I have to take a step back so I can focus on what I'm truly passionate about at the time. So, the next card, if we move on to the Mother, is the Two of Swords. The Two of Swords talks about blind faith, trust, right? And being in the dark sometimes, having to make a decision without all of the information that you need. Maybe the Mother is telling us here, anytime we need to push that pause button, push that sacred reset, step into radical rest to regulate our nervous system, to regulate our emotions. We may not have all the facts. We may not have all of the information to make a good decision, right? Hi, Queen. I see you. When I finish with this message, I will pull a card for you, okay? Thanks. Two of Swords. We may not have the information that we need, and that's okay. Because once we start slowing down more often, we'll learn that we can rest in the fact that Spirit's going to lead us. Spirit is going to provide that direction, and we'll have a knowing that it's okay to pause, right? Our worthiness is not based on our output. Our worthiness is not based on the judgment of how good our work is, right? The value of our work, not just how much, but the value of what it is. I talked about this last night. I hate to be a broken record, but with this Eight of Pentacles coming out again, I'm being drawn back to that art therapy. I told you we have to process some things, and sometimes to do that, we need to get out of our own ways. We need to stop trying to figure it out logically, and we need to try to figure it out flowing. We need to try to figure it out by pausing. And if we can get into like some type of practice of art therapy, or some people can do automatic writing where they just start writing, they don't think about it, and just things come out. Maybe that's another practice you could do. But either way, the true energy of the Eight of Pentacles is diligence, as I said. It's continuing to work on something, continuing to show up for yourself, continuing to honor your body, honor your energy, honor your emotions. Even if you don't know what the repercussions of this is going to be with this Two of Swords. Even if you don't know, like, if I take a break, how is this going to affect everything else? Everything else is going to fall apart. Even if that's how you feel. You have to trust. Step into your crone energy. Step into that knowing, right? And the more we do that, the stronger our foundation gets. The stronger this bed beneath us becomes. Not as a support, but as a foundation to continue this sacred rest, to continue this exercise, to continue this a sacred boundary. When you honor your energy and you honor your emotions and you prioritize recharging and refueling and making sure that you can handle everything that's going on, then you'll be able to get into this 10 of cups. Joy, fulfillment, happiness. Look at just look at how they're embracing. There's so much love there. He's got her picked up off the ground, y'all. We can use the sacred pause to take us from this place where we don't see the outcome, where we are blindly trusting, trying to make a decision without all the facts, to getting into the 10 of cups, where we're on the other side of the blindfold, where we are on the other side of even the road that we were on, where we've went way beyond what we thought possible. Because like I said, ADHD women, we can do things faster. We can get them done quickly. But in order to do that, we have to honor our energy. We have to honor our bodies, take that rest, right? Because if this space isn't okay, the rest of this isn't going to work right. If we don't have this quiet, calm, safe, then we can't rely on our other superpowers to be able to produce amazing things quickly. With the Knight of Wands coming out twice, because it's on the bottom of the deck from the Mother, the Knight of Wands is passionate, right? He's going to get somewhere. He's going to get there quickly because he's passionate about it. But a lot of times, this isn't in reverse, so that's not necessarily what this is about. But I do think it speaks to the energy type of ADHD to mention it. A lot of times, the Knight of Wands can also represent recklessness, taking action before you're ready. And we were talking about this Two of Swords, not knowing all the information. And while I don't think it's speaking of our reckless behavior here, I think it's speaking of our passion, chasing our passion. But in that same line of thought, I heard this from Witch and Scythe, and I think it's a great way to think about the Knight of Wands. She said he's always moving towards something, but he has the tendency to look over his shoulder, right? And so then he can change where he decides he's going to go. He's still going, but then he ends up missing what he wanted in the first place. If we don't take these sacred pauses, if we don't rest, if we don't sit back and listen to our soul, slow down and listen to what our soul is trying to say, then we can end up right back where we started in this Eight of Swords. The self-limiting prison, the entrapment that's all made on our own, that we could have just prevented if we slowed down, if we trusted the pause, if we trusted the distractions, the diversions, the detours, instead of fighting against them, instead of pushing hard and trying to change everything by our masculine energy, our action, instead of softening into our feminine energy, quieting our body, our mind, our nervous system, asking ourselves, what is this trying to teach me? Where is this trying to take me? Is this in alignment with my goals? Is this in alignment with my dreams? Does this take me closer to where I want to go? Or is this just something shiny that's going to distract me and I'm going to go dig a big hole to try to find the treasure, even though what I need isn't even on this island, it's across the sea? We have to take the time to slow down. The Knight of Pentacles came out twice. The Knight of Wands came out twice, and the Knight of Pentacles, both on the bottom of the deck. That's the energy we have to have, right? The Knight of Pentacles is going to get there. He is cautious. He's deliberate, like the Eight of Pentacles. He is taking intentional steps because slow and steady wins the race. That card came out a couple days ago. When we are acting in a way where every step is intentional, where every step at some point has been supported by this pause, has been supported by this evaluation by this thought. And we get into a phase in our life where justice is front and center, fairness is front and center, where the balance in your life will begin to be visible, right? We'll be able to go from this loss, from this trusting unknown, to having visible, tangible proof of our new reality, of our new life. By going slowly, but always being aware that we don't need to get distracted. We don't need shiny object syndrome. And maybe that's what the pause is for. Maybe the pause is to keep us from that distraction, right? If we kept going so fast, then we wouldn't have been aware of when the distraction showed up. But because our computer messed up and we weren't able to work on the project, we never ended up seeing the shiny object in the first place. Understanding that we get into a place, or that we've always been in a place where the universe is doing things for us, for our learning, for our growth, for our soul to expand, not for us, not against us, not something that will harm us, punish us. That's not the purpose of the trials and things we go through in this life. The purpose is to learn, to stop making the same mistakes, stop reacting. Don't be reactive. Be able to become the observer. And the best way to do that is to slow down, to trust the pause, the sacred pause. Listen to your heart and your passion. Become empowered. And when you move your body, you're moving it as the Knight of Pentacles and the Knight of Wands. You're moving it deliberately, maybe even a little cautiously. But every step you're moving it with passion, with love, with fire, with your zeal for life, knowing that you're going to go after the things that you want, the dreams that you have, you're going to achieve them. Mm. Sending love and light to anyone that is open to receive it. Thank you, Maiden. Thank you, Mother. Thank you, Crone, for your guidance tonight. Help this ADHD collective slow down. Help us trust the pause and not fight it. Help us remember what we resist persists. And when we slow down, we can understand what it's trying to teach us. And thank you so much, my friend, for joining me. Queen, it doesn't look like you're here anymore, so I'm not going to pull that card for you. But if you join me tomorrow, then I would be happy to pull it. Let me know, guys, in the comments. I think this is probably a challenging topic for all of us. What is it when it comes to the pause that's so hard to surrender to? Let me know down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you slow down. If you ever do slow down, if this is a new concept for you. Sorry about that. But in close, just let me know below, what is it that you struggle with when it comes to the pause? I invite you to like this video, subscribe to the channel if this message resonated with you and you don't want to miss future ADHD readings. And I'd like to remind you, in this channel, please come as you are and stay as you become. Bye, my friends.